pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started, since you had an issue, the numbers do agree this time between the two forms,
Okay.
so I don't know if there's any other errors.
That was a computer glitch
Okay.
that got fixed.
Alright.
He's
Thank
just
you.
got more experience going through them, so before I sign it,
Oh, you want? Alright, yeah, I'll go through.
Yeah.
Alright. Cool. Thank you, Lou. Yeah. Apologize for my tardiness. I went meeting to meeting to meeting from 3 today till now. So
Not bad, only 4
Yeah.
minutes late, huh?
yeah, not too bad. Tonight's meeting, we're gonna talk about trick or treat. We got an update and some discussions regarding DPW, and then at 5:40, police discussion or PD wages, old new business, and then a concerned citizen will be in at 6:40. So to start right out, start with trick or treat. You guys good with it being on Monday? Because traditionally we've always had it on the day of Halloween.
Seems like that's the day
It should be,
for trick or treat.
right?
Yeah. Well, no, it's always get that back and forth discussion from parents. You know, like some think they'd rather have it always be on the Saturday before or whatnot. You know, instead of being on a school night. But we'll stick with tradition and yeah. Then I don't recall. Do you remember it?
5 to 7.
5 to 7. All right.
Most of the towns are local to here, I was just reviewing that on WMUR, are going 6 to 8.
Yeah, we always have had it 5 to 7. I think it kind of keeps it in those twilight hour, like the
Before it
sun's
gets
still
too
just
dark.
kind of up. Yeah, at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
We don't have any sidewalks,
That's a good point too.
you know.
Yeah. So I'll make a motion to set the trick or treat hours for New Ipswich to be October 31st from 5 to 7. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Did you say I, Lou?
Yes, I did.
Oh, and he,
Alright.
alright.
Evening, Peter.
Good evening.
What do you got for us?
All kinds of stuff now. Lou asked me to come about the vehicle lift into the garage.
Yep.
Wanted to know which one I wanted. I just see which budget we take it out of.
And which budget, yeah, let's start with, I was recommending that we go up to the, I think you and I spoke to 50,000 pound.
Yep. And with 30-foot tracks on it.
With 30-foot tracks on it, okay. And do you want any extra of the hydraulic jacks?
Well, the 98-809 included the hydraulic jacks.
Includes one, the option of having a second one.
Wow, it's a pair
Okay,
each rail.
alright.
So
And then there was also something with the ramps, as they had an option of some ramps that could be used by fire trucks or ambulances or whatever. It gave them the ability to handle lower vehicles, like dump trucks got high, you know, but the fire trucks I think are lower. So I didn't know if you wanted to go with that.
well, I assume that's what the pivoting approaching ramps are.
Yeah,
That's at no cost, and the console's at no cost,
okay,
so that's included in the package.
alright,
How long did you say the track? 30?
30 feet.
30 foot.
The one we got now is only 25, so.
Go big or go home.
So that's and what was the total price on that?
Well, as of this date on this quote was $98,809.25.
Did that price include the installation?
Well, we're gonna do the installation in-house.
Okay, so the installation was marked in as what, 10,000 or 9,000 something?
Wow, yeah, if we wanted to include that, you would have to add that to 98,000.
Oh, you have to add that to the
Yes.
9,000, gotcha, okay.
So that's this
I
whole
thought that was inclusive in that.
lower is possible extras, but
Oh,
it's
yeah,
not.
those are options, other recommend options.
But they're not in that 98,000.
The installation's not in that. When I
So-
talked to him, he says it's just simple installation, it's just a matter of squaring it off, drilling holes in the floor, and mounting bolts.
Alright, and then there's a few other things too, like left over from your list that you had sent us back in March.
Well, that, and then there was one, I talked to you once about a used trailer, equipment trailer
Yeah,
for 11,000, so I would like to move that up, which isn't on my list, but I'd like to move it up.
Before we leave the lift conversation, this bid is good. I mean, quote is good till August 30th. Has anyone talked to him?
No, I haven't.
We sure have learned on this board that things change quick.
Yes, they do, well, they change after you order stuff too.
Yeah, we learned that as well, didn't we?
Yes, we did. This way today is you can't rely on quotes or prices.
Oh, it
Yeah.
says good through September 6th.
Which one? Oh, you have a different one?
No, I'm the same one as you.
so there's a couple different,
Oh, it is this one.
Yes,
That's-
two of
that's
them,
the old
August
one.
30th, the one with
This
the-
is the one that he's preferring. The first one is secondary, second
it's on the other
choice.
side.
yeah.
mhm.
Oh, why would he give you,
Well, that August 30th, that quote was actually made on August 15th, so that quote was only good for 15 days
Yeah.
anyway.
Alright,
and where did you wanna
So-
take the money from?
yeah, and that's where we have to look at this, like the whole scope, cause you had a few things, right?
Mhm.
Not necessarily everything that was on your list from March,
Well, the air
but,
cleaners we already purchased,
yeah,
just wait for the electrician to install them.
and then the electrical and the cold
Cold
storage
storage.
areas underway,
And
or,
all, he's waiting for parts, and that'll be done.
okay. Then the 1-ton plow and,
We got the truck, we're waiting for the equipment to be put on.
yeah, so that's good.
Yep.
How's your fuel line? Looking,
Actually, it's not looking that bad right now, but
okay,
actually, it could go up to smoke November, December, what we get for storms.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
when we use a lot of the fuel.
okay,
I was going based on what we were paying last year, then when we went to the state, we saved over $3 a gallon
yeah,
diesel, so.
that's a huge savings.
And we won't know until next month what the state price is gonna be on diesel fuel.
Right.
Cause then you had a backup generator,
Yeah, well, the trouble is, the price on that, it could be more and it could be less. It's based on kilowatts usage for a year,
yeah,
and I haven't been able to get that from Eversource yet.
I have a question, is there a way of modifying, I mean, this backup generator would only be for the DPW, right?
Yep.
And there's no way, is there any way that we could use it to backfeed the town hall also?
Wow, that was. It probably is, we'll have to run underground wire,
yeah,
cause the one that's down there now won't feed the highway garage, cause it's not big enough for the highway garage.
Okay. And is that that's a 3-phase also?
Yep.
So if we kept, and how big of it is it, do you?
I don't know, back in
Okay.
2008 when we had the ice storm, I had people looking at it, and it's an old generator that came from Peterborough Hospital.
Okay. Cause I'm just wondering if it's cheaper to just, if we're gonna get one that is gonna be bigger, take that one, put it up here, and put
Yeah.
another transformer on it to convert it over to single phase.
Yeah, you probably could. Or you had to move it down to the fire department and put a
That would be the
small-
cheapest way to go.
to move that one down to the fire department?
The
Like
one that the fire department currently has,
No, the fire department doesn't have
they
one.
don't have one.
not the fire department, I'm sorry.
Building, the white
The
building.
one
Yeah.
that the DPW currently
Yeah,
has.
yeah, the only one that's on this property.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And move, you know, if they're gonna get another one to better fit their needs, we could take that one if it's still in usable condition and install it up here to supply the town hall with power. It would just require a transformer to convert the 3-phase over to single phase.
rather not.
So was that part of, I don't remember, I don't think there was a generator in there for the EMD, cause they're gonna have to have power to run their stuff, right?
Yeah,
So,
but that,
This
don't we
building.
draw power off of that? I thought that one behind the white building supplied this.
Only a certain percentage of this building, not the
so
whole
it
thing.
does the EMD office?
Yeah,
Alright,
That was
Yeah.
my
Yeah,
only
'cause I was-
concern.
you know, felt like that we're all set here with that.
well, you are,
But
but also
besides
that's
you-
feeding the repeater in that building too.
Yeah,
Oh,
So if they're gonna put a repeater back in that building, you're gonna need a generator for it.
yeah,
I mean, do you have a
Well-
backup generator for this building?
No,
just a portion, just the EMD part of the building.
well, that and the town office and the computers, the mainframe, all feeds off that one generator,
Is that one generator?
but it didn't until after the ice storm.
Mm,
And it's all switched over manually downstairs by the back door. You can
Okay.
manually switch it over when you lose power. Same thing with the highway garage.
Yeah, that's easy enough to put in an auto
Auto
switch
switch,
anyway.
yeah.
alright, and then just sort of moving through your list, we already spoke about the equipment lift.
Yep.
You also had a plasma cutter.
Yeah, well, that's something we can talk about.
Yeah.
It's not a big need, so.
And then a mower for the roadside cutting.
Yep, that's something that I couldn't find anybody to do any mowing, so it's probably something we gotta look
And then
at.
the new bathroom, with more than one shower.
Yep.
So if you can't, like, can you go down, was there anything in addition to this list
No.
that you're looking
Yeah,
to
there-
address?
There's 3 more items on the backside.
Oh, yeah,
But some of that stuff on the backside's pretty much, well, like new forklift, that would come out of capital reserve.
yeah,
The small equipment trailer, that's, you know, I was looking to buy that used one off in person for 11,000.
yeah,
New one's roughly 18,000, so.
How big of a trailer are you talking about?
I think it's
18, 20 footer
it's 20 footer with a tilt bed.
with a tilt bed.
and then some kind of heat for the cold storage wood furnace.
Well, I was just thinking, you know, it'd be nice at least get the chill out of there.
Yeah,
You know, we had plenty of dead wood laying on the ground that falls down.
oh, so,
So
yeah,
it's
so
not
a
like
wood furnace, yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
Just something to, and it could benefit probably the highway garage, cause that furnace we put in there last year is not supplying enough heat for the garage.
yeah. And then to seal the wall, then in the cold storage where water comes in. I thought that was a part of, that's not a part, like where that electrical,
No, it's where
like
the deck-
rework,
if you look at the 2 front doors,
yeah,
to the left, it's the downspout, where it comes down, it's concrete, goes through the cinder blocks into the building.
okay,
We just made a roof over it, we're gonna try that, and try to keep the water from going in there, so
okay,
did a little backyard engineering, try to see ways.
there you go. New handicap ramp for the town office,
Thinking that should be something done in the future.
yeah. And then a lunchroom redo.
Yep.
So if I could though, like, is there any way that you could rank this list for us, like as, in terms of importance? Cause we're not gonna be able to address everything.
Well, I know that.
Yeah.
And this was a wish list for the Harper funds and stuff.
Yep,
Well, which items would come out of the
Well-
the fund that we have?
Capital reserve.
capital reserves, yeah. Thank you.
Well, the thing is, I don't wanna spend all that.
Yeah. That's what's good, like to have these discussions, but you know, we also
That's why we leased a loader, because of, we're paying cash for the backhoe. So that's $170, we're paying, 160 something, we're paying another 60 something for the dump truck, the 1 ton.
Plus another 60 for the, or are we taking, the money from ARPA funds to refurbish the new truck to be able?
no.
No, it's all coming out of capital
So it's
reserve.
gonna come out of capital, so
Yeah.
So
you're
it's,
looking at double that price.
Yeah.
It's 120, 25.
So I just need to know
Yep.
from you, cause we can pick and choose, you know, like
well,
what
let's,
we think, but we don't,
Yeah.
you know, you live it, so.
well, you might be living it too, I'm gonna have to make you get a commercial driver's license.
That'll be the next step to, yeah,
Yes, sooner than later.
yeah, doing your duty. Have to make a call out. Anybody willing to go get a CDL? Let's go get it.
I'll go.
Well,
Go do
like
it.
we were talking earlier, I'm down 2 people after next week, so
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd like to sit down with you sometime, I get an idea, but I don't know if it's something you three would go along with it or not, so,
okay.
You saw what's next on our agenda.
what's that?
PD wages.
Well, you figure last, 10, 12 years, you increase their wages. You know, we haven't really increased the highway department, now they're moving on to bigger and better things.
Yeah,
That's what I was saying, it might.
You know, and then you got the State Department giving $5,000 bonuses for plowing, so it's,
On this list, so then the air cleaners were already purchased.
yes. And that electrical for the cold storage is already purchased, so you can cross those out.
The dump truck is already
The
purchased.
dump truck's already purchased,
Gas line is still good.
yeah.
So-
But this dump truck wasn't ARPA.
No,
yeah. So just give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then where you see the money coming from, or where you'd like it to come from, and then
Well, what I would like to do, you know, I guess for the rest of this year, if we could buy the equipment lift and the trailer, that'd get me by until next year. Cause the way things are going, something else could pop up, go on this list.
in front, from capital reserve.
Yes,
Okay, so you put them left on the trailer, small trailer, right?
yeah,
Is that trailer still available?
yeah,
You've been here longer than us, Peter.
no, I
We-
haven't, you've been here long enough.
Well, not in town. And these guys may have already got the answer in the past week, but how do we know who authorizes withdrawals from capital reserves?
You guys do well.
Is it
Town
every
adminis-
single one goes through the BOS?
Yeah. There's a form, I think, town administration gives it to the
Trustees of the trust
trustees
fund.
of trust fund.
Yeah.
so there's some that can only be expended through warrant.
Yeah,
And then others are revolving
Well, it's different.
trust funds.
Yeah,
Or-
yeah.
Well, it's already listed in
No.
the warrant when
Alright.
it's applied for.
No, so I'll give you an example. When we redid the tennis courts a few years ago,
Mm-hmm.
we had to ask the voters for the money because it was still that legislative body like that made the decision, like to release the funds of that the rec capital reserve account.
Okay, so when we put out a warrant article that says, you know, putting $50,000 towards a fire truck or a dump truck or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and this is going to be cumulative over the next X number of years, isn't that already identifying that that money is going to that item?
Mm-hmm.
Yes and no. So
Well,
I
'cause
don't.
it doesn't state, goes to the capital reserve for
I
equipment.
think it's 3 or 4 years ago, I believe, the select board had put forth, 1 or 2 warrant articles, you know, asking to be listed as agents to expend out of, I believe it was the DPW
Mhm.
capital reserve account
Yeah.
and the fire department.
Capital
But,
reserve account.
Yeah, capital reserve account, cause until then, you'd have to come up with a warrant article and present it to the voters in March, you know, asking for authorization to utilize those funds,
Okay,
yeah. So they do have different, agents, each one, and, we haven't gotten that official list yet, Jason,
No.
Oh, yeah,
I've
that-
yeah,
been
of all the
working on
different
it.
ones, yeah,
I'm gonna find it.
good to have.
yeah,
It would make decision making easier,
yeah,
right?
yeah, no, absolutely,
So these
And-
two
and-
items coming out of the capital reserve,
Mhm.
90,000 and did you say 15?
11.
11.
and there's that, you know what's in that reserve account,
Last I knew, what was that taken, was almost $500,000,
yeah,
495,000.
alright,
So this will still leave roughly half.
Yeah,
of it.
then you get the 95 that was approved this year is going in next year.
Yeah.
What goes in this year, you can't spend it
spend
till
it.
the following year.
the following year.
Where's the generator on the list? Priority list.
Well, I guess
Number
we
3.
go, yeah,
Well, I don't know about the other selectmen here, but I'd like to see them quotes validated, and I would be willing to make a motion next week, or
what, for the
It's-
trailer and,
well, yeah, I mean, it's
Make sure the
equipment
price-
capital
yeah.
reserve, and you say you
Yeah.
need it, and I
Yeah.
understand, yeah.
yeah.
I'd like to move it on.
Yeah, so we definitely need to get, you know, solid quote numbers, even though I know it could
Yeah.
change,
Yeah.
you know, like afterwards, but
Yeah.
as long as we get the latest, greatest.
yeah, I have no problem with
And
that.
then also, the capital reserve balance, like for that account, specifically. And also like probably the expenditure history for the last 2 years, just to make sure that everything, is listed. Well, did you wanna go through and, you know,
No,
put
I-
importance to the other items, or?
No, not really, cause I just been waiting until after this one and see what happens.
Okay,
Things could change, we could lose a truck or something, we may end up spending some
Yeah.
big money, so I assume.
now, we have a few minutes, you know, before, you know, Chief
Mhm.
Abel comes in. Did you wanna take a minute to kinda, did you have an idea that you wanted to propose,
Yeah, but
or,
I'd like to do an executive session if I do.
okay,
In a what session?
non-public,
Non-public.
Non-public.
Oh,
Non-public.
we could go into our office. Is 10 minutes enough?
Yeah,
Is it?
just something to
'Cause we could
discuss,
just-
and you can, it's not like you gotta vote on it, just a discussion and. Cause I don't want it out in the public if nothing ever happens and. Then you can make a decision if you wanna bring it in public,
okay,
or I can talk one-on-one and you can discuss it some other time.
I guess maybe go that route,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Because I'd hate to,
Yeah, I don't wanna
Is
do
it
something
any-
wrong.
anything specific, anybody's name specific, or, no?
Sounds basically affects, wow, you could bring up the name, the reason that person threw them,
Yeah,
yeah.
so you, alright, yeah, if you don't feel like you can speak about it, you know, in general,
Yeah,
okay,
you know, maybe get together with you, and then you can discuss it with Lou, Jason,
okay,
alright?
alright, fair enough,
Then we can decide which way to go,
alright,
come and do it public or whatever,
alright,
alright?
Great,
Thank you.
thanks for your
thanks,
time.
thanks for
Thanks,
coming in,
sir.
Peter.
Thank you.
All the numbers, quotes are pretty. I should have done this with Peter in here. You think the 25th to bring up all this stuff? 2 weeks enough time to get everything together?
Yeah.
Should be. What?
Or
You highlight it.
Get
No,
everything
just
together
to
for what?
re-go
Yeah.
for the 2 items. The
Okay,
quotes
two
for the trailer and the equipment lift
Mhm.
quote, and then the capital reserve balances.
maybe
And
it needs 2 weeks or
just give it 2 weeks, instead of rushing it. Slow. Yeah, neither one of them's like a pressing issue, I don't think. Alright.
Now you should highlight it.
Yeah.
I have to grab mine, I saw yours and I was like, oh, I meant to do it. Send it. We could do the, while we're waiting for chief, we could go do the conservation thing.
Okay. Alright, so what do we have here, Debbie? I know you kinda,
Yeah, so the Conservation Commission kind of restructured because they were, kind of went rogue, I guess. So they didn't think that they had to be, when their term was up, they just thought they could just keep rolling on, which they can, but they weren't ever appointed by the selectmen, and it was a whole big thing, so they restructured their own thing. And this is who is gonna be on it, so the select board has to take the recommendation and approve it, and then I can let them know, yeah, you're good. So they restructured their terms and whatever. Did that make sense? It did in my head.
yeah. So all of their terms would be 3 years though. It's just they're expiring at different
Right, because
times.
it's a 3-year term, but it has to be staggered,
Yeah,
so they can't give everybody 3-year terms now.
yeah. But I just wanna make sure that going forward, this doesn't come out and then it looks like, people get confused and think that we'll have 3 1-year slots.
No,
Yeah,
So you're saying that subsequent ones are all gonna be 3 years?
right.
yeah.
And I'm not sure why they did all the alternates as a 1 year. Kinda weird, but that's what they chose to do.
All I had to do was read a little bit further.
Yeah.
Cause in the note, as the above terms expire, the member would be eligible for nomination to a 3-year term starting November 1 of that year.
Yeah, so that
Okay.
it's not on a ballot or anything like that, it's they,
Yeah,
recommend to the select board appoint them, they do their oath. Cause they didn't think they had to take oaths either, but they were just, recurring oaths, once they
Yeah.
took it 20 years ago, they're good.
yeah.
Which that's not the case either.
So, do you have any issues with these nominations? Or would you like more time to go over it?
I'm okay with it.
Cause we don't, definitely something that we don't have to act on tonight. Has been sitting out there for a while.
He wanted to, they have their meeting tomorrow night, so he called me today and asked me if we could do this tonight, so
Well, my thought would be just to keep the commission rolling, we would just approve it, and it wouldn't change anything other than.
Right,
No, cause these are all current members, I believe,
yeah, that have been on there forever.
yeah,
And I have not had anyone ask me, hey, can I be appointed to that?
Right.
So,
okay. So I'll make a motion to accept the nominations of the Conservation Commission members as listed. Bob Boynton as a full member with 2 years left on his term. His term will expire in 2024. And you have all this already. I'm just reading it
Yeah,
out for
I know.
people. Yeah. David McTeague, a full member with 2 years left on his term, expiring in 2024. Matthew Oliveira, full member with 3 years on his term, expiring in 2025. Karen Miller, a full member with 3 years left on her term, expiring in 2025. Is it Cleta or
Yeah, Cleta Dudley.
yeah, Cleta Dudley as an alternate with a 1 year left on her term. Mike Barra, alternate with 1 year, and our land admin as an alternate for 1 year. All will be eligible to a full 3-year term starting November 1 of their expiring year if they seek re-nomination. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Bob will be so happy.
How you doing, Chief?
Very good yourself?
Good, thank you. You ready to roll?
Yeah.
Alright.
Have a seat.
Hot seat.
So the reason I made a request for the agenda today is I just wanted to, I think twice in the past we had spoken about incentives. And so I just bringing it back to the table, trying to keep that conversation alive. I'd have to go back through my notes to see the last time, it was probably spring when we spoke about it last.
Mm-hmm.
Hadn't heard anything, so just try to keep it alive, and I'll pass the paperwork I have, which is very similar to probably what I've issued in the past, and it's just trying to find a way to be creative to try to keep the employees we have, be competitive with what's going on around us in the southern New Hampshire area, and just advocating for the PD and trying to keep people on board. So
Perfect.
just gonna you'll see me again, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, but I'll pass it along, pass it out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Then, have you met with your FAC?
I
Person
have,
yet?
yeah.
Alright,
We've
cool.
met a few times, and then more than several emails back and forth.
How's that been?
It's good. It's a learning process. So yeah, it's still a learning process, but it's going good.
Okay.
There's some hiccups along the way. It just I don't know that I was quite ready for the detail that was being requested, but it's. I've been working primarily with Joe Woodworth, and he's a pleasure to work with. Very patient guy, knowledgeable. Nobody on either side is pushy. We all have things going on in our lives, and so overall a good experience, but definitely a learning curve.
Okay.
Yeah. We're working on it.
Cool.
So again, I just wanted to bring it back to the front of the table and put it back in the spotlight a little bit. Today I kind of put them in an order. This order I guess would be I think it maybe changed once, one thing changed since the last time, and I just changed the order a little bit. Before I told you, like, it didn't really have a preference.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned that, the fitness and the shift differential were probably higher on the list. But the first three here are like my top three, if you will. And I'm certainly not here to ask the board to accept all of these, and these are just ideas, and to try to move forward. Again, but being the physical fitness annual, what do you want to call it, a stipend or bonus? As I think I stated in the past, New Hampshire police officers are required to maintain a fitness standard by the New Hampshire Police Standards and Trainings Council. We call it the Academy. If you don't keep that fitness standard, they pull your cert. You can't be a cop anymore. So we're required. So everybody's on board. It was only required every third year, not every year. But in order to promote healthy, strong PD, I think there should be an incentive for officers to stay in shape year to year. And also that would be the $400 annual stipend is if only they take the test and pass.
Yeah.
If they don't take the test in 2023 and they're not required to by the academy, then they don't get the stipend. So if they pass it and they pass it at the academy standard, then they would be eligible for a stipend. And this is not something new. I said, like, there's a lot of PDs in southern New Hampshire that offer this, and probably even at a greater bonus dollar value. And I at one point I had pulled a lot of surrounding areas numbers, which I still have somewhere, but this is probably on the lower side.
Yeah.
Some of them combined an educational bonus, meaning if you have an associate's, bachelor's, or master's degree and you pass the PT test, they give you $2,000. That's Jaffrey. That's one of their bachelor's degree to pass the PT test annually is $2,000 bonus annually. So I'm just asking for $400. The longevity pay again is just trying to reward somebody for their years of service. Again, just trying to be competitive. I don't know of a lot of agencies giving a longevity pay, but this is just again trying to be creative. 1 to 5 years, $350. 6 to 10 years, $550 annually. 11 to 15, $750 annually. And 16 to 20, or it could be just 16 to any years after that.
Yeah.
We don't have anybody in the last two tiers. We have 4 officers at the 1 to 5 year mark, and 2 officers between the 6 and 10 year mark, and that would be the corresponding dollar value to support that, with a total $2,850.
And that would be years of service to New Ipswich, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
If we could go back to the physical fitness bonus,
Mm-hmm.
Does the NIPD have a fitness standard?
We just follow the academy standard. Yeah. So the reason I put the language in there, or the New Ipswich police standard, police agencies can do, they can adopt a more rigorous standard, but they only have to pass the academy standard. But right now we just follow the academy standard. That's what we do.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, they call it the 3-year ongoing fitness assessment, is what the academy calls it. So every 3rd year you gotta pass it. It's very basic, just so obviously for transparency, it's a push up, sit up, and a 1.5 mile run. That's what it is. So you have to have, for your age group, 20 to 29, 30 to 39, etc. And there's a standard set for each one of those functions, or each one of those tests based on your age, that age group.
Okay.
And it's off the Cooper standard, the 50%, so 50 percentile Cooper standard.
So then $400 annually, so if you pass it this year, for the next 3 years you get $400.
No, you'd take the test every year. So
Oh,
I'm
you
trying
would
to
take it
yeah,
annually. I see.
it does 2 things. It gets them a bonus, and it also promotes them to stay healthy. Because I know a lot of cops that come the 3rd year, they're training hard to make sure that they pass the PT standard. Where I'd rather have my cops be more physically fit every year.
I see.
So again, it's a bonus that they would get for staying in shape and offsetting gym memberships, and also an incentive to stay physically fit. Yeah. Shift differential, I think it's explanatory, it was just, evening shift would be a differential of 50 cents per hour more. Overnight shift could be 75 cents, per hour more. The average evening shift hours per week are 90 right now. And then, average evening shifts per year, we have 4,680 hours per year. Again, this could change a little bit based on staffing. With an estimated cost at 50 cents an hour times 4,680 at $2,340. And then the overnight, if we were to have start out with say 40-hour coverage a week, would essentially be $1,560 a year to fund that shift differential. If that went to 80 hours a week, or you know, obviously that would have to be adjusted. Step raise, which I've introduced I think a couple of times as well. I know the board's probably still working at maybe putting in a step raise program for the town of New Ipswich, so I'm understanding of the time restraints and the kind of commitment that takes. But again, that might be another incentive to people know what they're getting as they step through their career or years of service to New Ipswich.
Okay.
And I think I've given this form to the board a few times, or
Yep.
that's actually not accurate, once or twice. Educational incentives, a lot of agencies offer this. If you have associate's, bachelor's, or master's degree, you get some kind of educational incentive. Current staff with degrees, we have 2 with associates and 3 with bachelors. Then there's the associated cost would be obviously $2,000 and then $4,500 for the bachelor degrees if you were to adopt something of that dollar value. Offering long-term, short-term disability. Currently, the town of Ipswich doesn't offer any long-term or short-term disability to its employees. We are thankful for the stuff that we get, the health insurance, eye and vision, and life insurance, but it could be another incentive that could be looked at. Could fall along with the current medical insurance of an 85-15 split or something like that.
Affleck.
Right. And I think we've talked about it in the past, I carry Aflac on my own just
Yep,
in the
me
event
too.
something would happen. I don't know the cost for that because I think it's somewhat driven off of your age, so individually.
Yeah.
I think they charge more for somebody that's 60 than somebody that's 25.
I didn't think Aflac, before my retirement with the company, we had the possibility of Aflac, but if you were over, was 45 or 50, they didn't offer anything at all for you.
Yeah. Well, I think they do
Drop-
because
they
I'm
drop
well
you.
over that.
yeah.
And you're still covered.
Yeah, and I'm over 50s and I'm still covered, so. But I wouldn't be surprised if insurance companies had some type of cutoff. They like to make money, so that's what they do. So.
I could always go Primex too.
Yeah.
They might offer it.
You know, and sometimes if you get a group plan through like an Aflac type business, it lessens the premium versus an individual purchase.
Yeah.
You know, I have nothing to hide. It costs me like $40 a week to carry the insurances that I have through Aflac. So I pay. The town of Ipswich does make the electronic payment for me, but they don't pay for anything.
They
So
take it out of our paycheck and then we cut a check, so it's a zero. It's budget neutral.
yeah. So I mean, at least that's a nice thing. Where I don't have to make the payment; it comes right out
Right.
of the payroll system.
Right.
So that personally, that's what I pay. But for me, it's a good peace of mind to know that I have
Mhm.
some coverage if I get myself messed up outside of work.
Saved me when I had the concussion.
Yeah. Insurance stipend, again, just to try to be creative. If an employee doesn't take the town offered health insurance, some agencies, towns, municipalities will offer a stipend for not taking the health insurance. Not everybody has that option. Some of our officers, obviously this is their only option, is to have insurance here. And then somebody that, for an example, you might have I'm an example where I could go on my wife's
Mhm.
if I really wanted to. But it's a few dollars a month cheaper for me to be on my own health insurance versus being on hers, so that's the route we've gone. But if I got a $6,000 stipend, I might take the $6,000 and save the town $10,000 and then go on hers. You know, whatever the difference is.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I would, I'm saying that's kind of one of the things that people would consider.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whether it would be a savings, I guess it's kind of a gamble to the town, whether some people would take it or not.
Yeah, and
It
then
would still
there would
be a
be
s-
some who would take it, that are currently getting their insurance
Right.
elsewhere, so it would be an additional.
Right.
Yeah, so if they
Yeah.
take the insurance through the town, then you don't get the annual, you don't get the
Right.
insurance stipend, so.
But I know that there's a few employees in town now whose spouse has a better
Right,
Right.
policy, so they go through theirs
Right.
and they get
Right.
nothing.
right.
So
Right.
that's all I'm saying, there'd be a few,
And it saves the town, I mean, if they were gonna come on the town's insurance, it's gonna cost
it
a
would
heck
cost
of
a
a lot
lot.
more.
No, I know, but
Six-
what Jason's saying is that
They're already
there's no intention,
Yeah.
so it's actually gonna be an additional charge to the
Oh,
taxpayers.
gotcha, yeah.
So
Yeah.
it may balance out,
Yeah, I mean,
or
some
still be a positive thing.
But then,
I
yeah,
don't
but then
know.
you look at it in those terms of that, positive aspect, and we're about to get hit pretty hard, I think, with wage discussions again this year. So
Yeah.
if there are creative things that we can do,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then there was the tuition reimbursement kind of explains for itself. You can get into all kinds of percentages with that. If you pass a class at a B level, you will pay 50% of the tuition. If you pass at an A, we'll pay 100% of the tuition, 80% of the tuition. I put that in there as just a thought, and then the sign-on bonus. Currently, don't want to shoot myself in the foot, but it doesn't seem like we need one at the moment. We're fully staffed. I know that a lot of agencies are offering it. I think Winchester's offering 20,000 right now. Brookline's offering 15,000 sign-on bonus, and then there's a bunch of towns in between that are offering
Crazy.
somewhere between $3,000 and $20,000.
So
And I
that
think
brings
state
me
police, yeah,
right back to your second
right,
item here, longevity
right,
pay bonus or stipend.
Right.
Seems like
Yeah.
it makes sense.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's very challenging out there, and I will say that as I sit here, I don't blame anybody for it. I don't blame the board. I don't blame the town. I don't blame the citizens. I don't blame the PD. It's just how life's kind of crazy right now, and everybody's looking for employees in all job classifications, right? From
Right.
anything from cooks to lawyers to doctors to so we're all in this together. We're all struggling for employees, and it's sometimes people will come to me and say, well, the town should do more. Like, the reality is, we're doing what we can, and everybody's feeling it, right? Everybody's looking for employees. I know it's kind of a broad statement, but it seems like wherever I turn, people are having a hard time getting fully staffed.
Yeah.
Again, no one's really to blame. It's just the situation we're in. But
And it's not even just in the police
no, it's everywhere.
end of town,
Yeah.
it's land use, it's planning,
Yeah.
it's every town job.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody's stealing from everybody else, cause
Yeah.
nobody can keep anybody.
Yeah.
People know where the
There
money
is some
is.
what we call poaching going on.
Yes.
For sure. But
That's
but
the
it's
exact word they use,
it's
yeah.
we're in a unique time, and I don't know how long it will last. Right. I'm sure.
well, at some point,
yeah,
the
at some-
money's gotta run out,
Right.
right?
Yeah. At some point in our life, I'm sure it'll go back the other way, where there's when you post a job, you're actually gonna get a bunch of applicants,
Right,
versus now it's
you get a couple
you get a couple.
that
Right.
aren't qualified.
And with how volatile everything is, that could be in a couple months.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we don't know the time frame.
I know.
The country seems to have still quite a bit of wealth, but I'm not an economist. I really can't predict the future. But yeah,
So I did some quick math, and in your first, second, third, the educational incentives. And the sign-on bonus money is just over $20,000 would be the impact to your budget. Like if we, went ahead with all of these things, and that's the annual, like, cost.
Wow.
Yeah, I think the way I was looking at it, we would create a line item, I guess called incentives, right? And then we'd have to fund it.
Yeah.
You were going all the way to the stipend?
Well, I didn't include, the insurance stipend.
But we
But
don't
I
have
did.
an overnight shift, so that 15, 16.
Well, I added it in anyways, just to factor the whole thing in. And then, right now we have 4 new hires. Right,
Pretty much.
Mike, and that's where you came up with that 8,000,
Which we do?
the last page. Oh, it says 2 new hires, but.
Oh, that's just for the bonus.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
$2,000 a year for 3 years.
Right,
Yeah.
and currently we're not in a situation where we need to offer one, so.
Yeah, but so if you take that out, it, makes it even more affordable.
We've been fortunate that we've been able to, hire folks, officers without any sign-on bonus. We've been fortunate.
So I see like 13,000
Yeah.
for these
Yeah.
3.
Yeah,
Longevity pay, shift differential, and educational incentive.
Which would affect the tax rate by about 1 penny per thousand, or 10 cents per thousand, 18 cents, maybe. Can't remember the formula, but
But it sure seems to me, at minimum, you take number 1 and stick it in your budget.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd meet much opposition here, but you may get the voters.
Yeah, as I said, I'm just trying to find a way to be
Yeah.
creative and,
Yeah.
I'm very pleased with the group of officers we have now, and if, we have a lot of, new officers that are gaining experience every day, and it's just, we got good guys, we got good officers, and I know I say that, we've had good officers in the past, and, but we're pretty lucky, we have some good officers, and, it's a lot of work to hire, it's a lot of work to retain, and a lot of money to get them to where we're at.
yeah,
And I can't guarantee anything in the future, but I'm just trying to do what I can.
yeah. I can appreciate that, you've been doing a good job over this last year plus, so,
Thank you.
as chief, so I really appreciate it. And even, like I was saying, most of this list, if you take it all together, it's pretty,
inexpensive.
yeah, and a nice way to recognize people that are, continuing, to better themselves,
Right,
yeah,
right. Thank you. Yeah, and like, none of it's us trying to, get rich or anything. It's very low, very reasonable numbers, and I appreciate that. Yeah.
How long are your shifts?
10-hour shifts. Okay. Yeah, right now we're doing 4 and 3, 4 and 3 out of 10 hours.
So that includes an overlap between shifts, or?
Correct. I try to do an hour overlap at a minimum, so there's intel sharing and
Right.
passing information and stuff like that. And also, sometimes it's greater than that, and it's officer safety. So if we get some type of call that requires a 2-officer response, there's a likelihood there'll be 2 officers on to handle that call and start to minimize, the request for mutual aid for, agencies coming over to New Ipswich. The other day we had an arrest, and at the same time we had a car accident where Ashby came up and covered the accident in town, Ashby PD. So we rely on that relationship between all the surrounding towns to do that. But if we had a second officer on, then, we could have maybe broken that up and covered our own business, But Yeah, so yeah, there is overlap, and I try to build in as much overlap as I can that still offers good coverage
Yeah.
and offers for safety. And so currently, we, you know, especially while training, we have 2 officers on most of the time between the day and evening shift. There are some exceptions to it where there's only 1 officer on for a period of time or for a shift.
Are there certain, high, or periods of high use as compared to other times?
Yeah, we have call volume, it fluctuates seasonally. Friday, Saturday night can be really busy, obviously. During the week's busy just because of the schools are in session. We have 3 schools in town, as everybody knows, you know, elementary, middle, and high school. We get a fair amount of work out of the schools weekly, whether it's counseling or taking in reports of actual crimes that have been committed on school, whether they're assaults or thefts or drugs or you know, tobacco use.
How many
stuff like that.
calls per week would you say you're getting, or even per month?
I would have to pull that stat. I wouldn't want to give you a wrong number, but I
Okay.
could work with you on getting that, and then
That does bring up another point that I was approached last week from a resident about the police reports,
yeah.
and Mike told me they're on the website.
Yeah, so if you go to the townofipswich.org and then navigate to the PD page of the town website, on the right hand side at the bottom, it's called minutes, and it's listed under there. So that's what's
Okay.
available to us. So that's where we post the.
Oh, we can change the name of that if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a reason to call it minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
We
we
can
might
change
wanna
that.
just call it either
We can
police.
change that for
We
you.
could probably call it police news, and then under there will be the police.
The police
logs.
blotter.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I was just wondering about the volume.
Yeah, and our volume's pretty much it's all over the place. We have some days it's very quiet, and other days we don't stop all day. So it's, but definitely, you know, you summertime especially is increased volume. A lot of people on vacation, a lot of travelers, a lot of pass-through traffic. You know, all the holidays, 4th of July, Memorial Day, Labor Day, they all create volume. They all create increased calls. School going back into session, definitely see a volume go up. And then just in general, you know, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, evening shifts gets pretty busy. Between traffic, alcohol offenses, domestics, you know, those types of crimes or offenses.
Now, are you familiar with that report that your predecessor had submitted once a month, like at the beginning of the month?
I am.
Yeah. I can't recall if we'd gotten anything from you.
Yeah, I have not submitted a monthly stats report since officially taking over, which is a year now. I just hadn't been requested to do so, but that's not an issue if somebody wants that.
Yeah, I think it would be good.
Yeah, I can give them basic stats. And do you want it sent to the board, or do you just want it posted on the website, or do you want it just to the board?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I think SBAS sends theirs to Debbie
Sure.
and then she
Yeah.
disseminates it to us, like at the meeting.
Yeah,
so,
that's easy enough to do. We can get those to you.
Yeah.
So what I'll try to do is somewhere within the first 3 or 4 days of each month is get you the previous month's stats.
Yep.
Okay.
Alright?
Perfect.
Yep.
And that way too, like that's a very, you know, it kind of compiles things for a month,
Yep.
and then we'll give the community members an idea of your call volume, and
Yep.
they can kind of see it for themselves, like
Sure.
you know, with the calls going up or whatnot.
I'll have to say, for myself, the longevity bonus or stipend is, I feel like that's
Yeah.
really
That's
important.
I
And
know, across the board. Yeah.
No, I completely agree. Then even getting that the pay scales implemented in the departments that are ready, you know, sooner rather than later, so that people can kind of see what's going on or what the current thinking is and where they track for the next 5 years potentially.
Yeah, no, originally when I did mine, because I didn't know how, just talking on the pay scale a little bit, I didn't know how far we wanted to push it out. There's some variations of how a pay scale can be built. This one was just kind of built off, 22, 23, 24, 25, if you will, and just with kind of a built-in step raise.
Yeah.
To be fair, this one's just built with a straight standard 2.5%, 2.5% raise, 2.5% raise. The issue is if you get too far out, then you obviously have to revisit it at some point to see if there needs to be corrections to the pay scale. So if you were to run out a 9 or 10-year pay scale, I think after 3 or 4 or 5 years, you might wonder if that pay scale is still legitimate
Yeah.
and still accurate. If everybody's on board knowing that and then saying, hey, every 3rd year we should reevaluate to make sure we're competitive and keeping up with inflation and keeping up with whatever, then that's okay too. But I mean, everybody has to be on the same page of how that would be approached.
Yeah. That was an old thought from
Right.
a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
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 And
And now here we are, all of a
Yeah.
sudden, like
Right.
ready to reevaluate and
yeah,
Yeah.
as we talk about looking for 2023 with what we might think as being competitive for COLA, is a conversation that needs to be had as well. And I know for myself with the Finance Advisory Committee being in place, I just wanted to make sure I still had a voice because we're giving them essentially 2022's salary numbers, and they're saying, and then I'm getting told, which it's not a problem, that we're going to work with the board to get a COLA number. But I just want to make sure that I think the department head should have an influence on that, if possible, right?
Yeah.
So I think that conversation is something that needs to be had as well.
well, that's what we're here
Yeah.
discussing those things with
Yep.
you right now. So
Sure,
I can
yeah.
appreciate that,
Yeah.
and everybody's, all the department heads still do have a voice in everything. It's just so that next level of detail can kind of be delved into a little bit.
Right.
We can understand all the department's budgets and needs, and they're able to allocate more time.
Mhm.
That initial body of work being done.
Right.
So none of that is being done to get around like any type of meeting, that we'd have with you guys, or like once we discuss that full budget with the finance advisory group, they're there to advise us as well, because
Right.
many of them on that committee are financially minded, like that's
Right.
where their background is that. So we need that guidance and support,
Yeah.
to make the best decisions
No,
possible.
they've been really good.
And
to
they can
work.
advocate
Yeah, I
for
think
the
they will.
department heads
Absolutely.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would hope that you don't withhold anything from them.
No.
Too.
No, but I would, like I said, I would just, it's one of those. As we learn the new process with the Finance Advisory Committee,
Yeah.
being a department head, I got to figure out when is it appropriate for me to say, can I have get in on the agenda and have a conversation? And it's not like I don't feel like I can. I'm saying when's the appropriate time to do that.
Yeah.
So
Aren't we going to structure it similar to last year where the department heads will all have their time to come before the board and the Finance Advisory Committee and present? Or are
Well, the Finance Advisory Committee is already doing that.
No, I'm
No.
saying, once it's all worked out with the Finance Advisory Committee.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, because
Well,
the
those
different
last
departments-
steps haven't really been formulated yet. So right now they're like in that stage of compiling of all the information and
Understood,
understanding, and
yeah.
then coming up with a rough budget to propose to us, or kind of go through each department. A kind of like a speed version of it in the highlighted areas, and then we'd go through all of that. And if there's a specific concern that you had with them that you wanted us to address, such as pay,
Right.
then that would be, you know, a big asterisk to them, and we'd know that we'd have to have like a follow-up meeting, you know, in regard to pay
Yeah.
with you,
I
and you
figure that
kind
would
of,
kind of
and
be
even
the
this
way
was
it would.
appropriate to
Yeah.
come in right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't circumvent anything, or it gives us an idea of where your, you know, your focus is, or what your concerns are, like for the department. And we definitely need some more, like, additional time to think over some of these items and approach, because at the end of the day, it's our community members that,
Yep.
you know, say yay or nay.
Sure.
And all we are, just like the finance advisory guys, we're working with you through your budget and then trying to present the best budget possible to our community members, with the most transparency that we can provide, and understanding that we can give them.
Right.
So that's a part of that FAC as well, is to help everyone to understand like where the numbers, you know, come from, and understand
At
it.
the staff meeting, on Wednesday, we all discussed that all the department heads really want to meet with the, you know, I said we can set up a meeting or a time at, you know, that you guys can all come and discuss your concerns with the COLA thing, and that's what we were talking about, was the COLA and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, just so, I kinda got the impression that you guys felt like you were left out of the
Well, it's new for
whole,
us.
cause it's so
Yeah,
different,
it's new.
it's not,
And,
yeah,
in no way that I think I wouldn't be able to
Right.
give my voice. I just
Right.
was wondering when it would be appropriate,
Right.
and then when we would see. We're just used to a little bit more control, if you will. Like, it's our budget, and so we're used to like
yeah,
being ready to answer all those questions, and you know, go to bat for your employees and stuff. And you add another element, the FAC, and so we're kind of learning how to let go of a little bit of some of the things we do to work, you know, as a team with those people. And it's fine. Like I said, we're learning as we go.
different approach.
Different approach, yeah. And
Yeah.
like I said, I'm not sitting here saying that I feel like I couldn't come to the board.
Yeah, I think every department head, they can call a meeting with us
Whenever.
anytime.
Just
Yeah.
like you.
We would never strike
Yeah.
any of
And,
it from
and that's
the
what I told
agenda.
them at the staff meeting.
Yeah.
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 There's
And
concerns,
that's
but
yeah,
just so you know, we haven't officially discussed COLA
right.
at all.
Right.
It's been kind of
Batted around a little.
half-heartedly mentioned,
Yeah.
but we are kind of leaving the finance advisory committee to do their
Okay.
thing.
So we have an overall idea of where we'd like the budget to be, but they're not, like I said, they're just compiling everything right now, and it's gonna end up where it ends up. But after this whole process, because what's been different as well is that the level of detail started at the beginning of September, instead of us just starting our quick meetings with the department heads, you know, like hour at a time,
Right.
like in meetings, in, you know, late October going into November. So it should be a better budget, you know, for the community. But I like the direction, you know, and where you're looking, you know, to go for these incentives.
Okay.
You know, we should put some numbers on that long and short-term disability insurance aspect. That would be good. I didn't get any type of breakdown for the tuition reimbursement.
Yeah, I could look into stuff like that, but
Well, not even any type of, it didn't, you had mentioned something about paying a certain percentage of the.
yeah. So I didn't.
So you didn't put anything?
No, I didn't.
Okay,
No,
alright.
I didn't put a lot of research into that specific potential incentive yet. But I mean, if it's something that there's a consideration, I would certainly dive into that.
Yeah.
So typically, like on the educational incentives, would you say that an officer with a bachelor's degree performs much better than an officer with no degree? Or is,
No, I wouldn't say that. I think each individual is different. I've seen, officers with no degrees perform at a high level. And even sometimes surpass somebody with a bachelor's degree, but I do see sometimes with somebody with a bachelor's or associate's degree that they're a little more rounded, as far as things they've been exposed to. I also see people with college educations that seem to have a better understanding of just working in the office, using office equipment, typing Word, Excel, PowerPoint. Communication skills are sometimes a little bit better. Writing skills tend to be a little bit above par. But like I said, I've also worked with some very intelligent people that did not go to college, and they really shine, right?
is there a way to do performance-based bonuses? Or is that,
Like
is
merit raise.
is that full of legal
right?
trappings?
I feel like it could be biased or.
Yeah.
But it's
Well,
supposed to be, I mean,
yeah.
it's obvious, some people perform better than others.
Right.
Unfortunately, how to reward that performance becomes.
Right.
Isn't that usually rewarded with
Merit
raises
raise.
on an annual basis? And
Yeah.
performance?
But we're looking at
More
doing
tickets, more
just we're looking at doing structured step raises, which excludes any performance. And I like to see performance rewarded, but
And that should be up to the manager to manage that.
yeah.
Well, yeah, that's where he's going with it. He's just adding another layer to this whole thing. Cause
Well,
it
I'm
could be
saying
as simple as, just taking into account how many days they've called out or not, like a whole equation
Yep.
that you could come to.
Yeah, and that's sorry to cut you off, but that would be one thing is we'd have to come up collectively as a town on a standardized evaluation. And
Yeah.
how we wanna structure that evaluation, that would be obviously conducted by the department head. And then if there was some kind of scale you would use, if you rate here, you get this, if you rate here, you get that.
Yeah,
Currently, we have evaluation forms, but I don't know if it's structured appropriately to quite towards merit-based raises, but
yeah,
something that would have to be spearheaded and a project taken on.
Yeah, and even if merit-based raises were off the table with a stepped salary
yeah,
thing, bonuses, I think, or you call them stipends, bonuses, initiatives to reward that
Right.
kind of behavior. In my experience, it goes a long way
Yeah.
when you recognize the.
Yeah, no, I'm all
So a way
about
to take this from talk, like over, like this period of time, is that this is basically part of your justification
it.
for an incentive program.
Yeah, this is what I'm, yeah,
So then this you'd put into your budget for us to review, and then it'd be a part of that whole work,
yeah,
you know,
Create a line item.
yeah, I created, I got to send off some communication to Joe Woodworth about it, and we're currently bouncing back and forth between updating a spreadsheet and sending it back and forth. And I created a tab, incentives, piled that in,
Perfect.
and he got it already. And I said, just in case anything's adopted, here's some numbers.
so like we can't adopt this tonight, cause even if we adopt it, it still has to go before the voters, right? So, this really needs to go into that rough budget
Sure,
formula, like so that we see that full, anything that you want in there,
okay,
needs to go
Well, yeah, whatever seems prudent and
in.
reasonable.
No, I know, but then
Put it
that's when we have our review.
Not everything you want, that'll turn into.
No, well then, there'll be a lot of no's, like at a certain point, right?
I
Yeah,
suppose that's
yeah.
all that would happen.
so that's our job as managers, like to make sure that we put forth what we feel our community
so no
members will
helicopters
support.
in 23?
No, well, hey, you can put it on there. Doesn't
Yeah,
mean
the
it
guys have been
doesn't mean
asking for a while.
I don't think I
You
wanna
don't mind
I don't wanna go there
Yeah.
with the community, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's an idea, like how we're supposed to be working through
Okay.
that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's
they're
no
and they're
problem. Like I
not
said,
there to
I've already
hold.
done it,
They're
so-
not there to hold anybody back.
Right.
It's to get that full picture idea and have everything written down. So some of these items that have been spoken about endlessly, have a chance to make it to that next step.
Alright.
But we need to see it as a part of the whole picture,
The other budget.
and just knowing that. Just because it's there today doesn't mean it'll be there tomorrow.
Right.
But that's where those other follow-up meetings will be.
Yep.
To discuss, say, hey, chief, we can only hit, or we feel like we could shoulder this much and
Sure.
put before the community
Yeah.
in March. What do you think? And then if you say, well, I really wanna move 4 up to 2 or
Right.
something, and just have that discussion. Alright,
No, I think that's fair, and so just appreciate the consideration and just trying to advocate and keep moving forward. That's it.
yeah, and then, at that point, if this is a part of that picture and we're discussing it, before, we vote to that on the budget to put forth,
Sure.
yeah, we'll have, the community will have 2 opportunities to weigh in ahead of time.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they can even say, hey, you're not doing enough.
Yeah, it could
Yeah,
happen.
really, let's add this.
Yeah. So,
That's happened before.
Yeah, we've
Yeah,
had some
it
pretty
has
good.
happened before.
Yeah.
There was an attempt to cut the police budget a couple of years back, and
Oh, yeah.
people turned out at the budget hearing and said, "Don't do that."
yeah,
Right.
yep. So the more information we can get ahead of time, like in those, like for those public meetings, would be the better. And please spread that word to your fellow
Yeah.
department head members, just the FAC is not there to, say yes or no to anything.
Right.
It's just to get that complete picture and detailed picture so that we have a better understanding.
I don't
Of
think
it
they've been
ourselves.
even alluding to that. They've
No, it's been
been-
very positive. I think
Yeah,
it was
they're
just
trying
there was. I think the major concern was making sure that there was an appropriate time to voice an opinion on a COLA. I think that was the
Yeah.
highlight of our conversation
At the
at
staff
the
meeting.
staff meeting.
Yeah,
So I'd say never hold back.
Right,
right.
right. And that's why I said at the meeting, can I
the
have
longer
a-
you hold back,
Right.
the more it builds up, and
Right.
then unrest happens, and
Yeah.
Yeah, and
we don't want
I'm
that.
here to liaise.
Right.
Well, you still have to wait until the government indicates what the COLA's gonna be.
Well,
But we
can
don't
set
have
it
to
whatever
take
we
that.
want.
We can set, whatever we want for the
Okay,
cost of
well, we should-
living.
We're
They-
using-
Because if they say it's
you're right,
15%,
We should need
Yeah.
something as a guideline.
Yeah,
Say no
December.
COLA.
it's reasonable to
Right.
wait for that, I think.
Yeah, as of today, I checked the Bureau of Labor Statistics. In December 2020 to December 2021, they listed it at a 7% inflation rate. Wow. And then today, as of today on the Bureau of Statistics, Labor Statistics, as of August 2022, it was listed at 8.3% inflation.
And how have wages kept up? Because we got people that need to pay the bill for
Right,
this
right.
too.
Right,
Yeah.
and then so
Well, see,
I
that's the
combined the
thing.
2 years.
Yeah.
So last year and then the to date 8.3% of an average of 7.65% inflation between the last year and a half to year and three quarter. So that I don't know where we're gonna land at the end of 2022, but we'll see. And if somebody has a more reliable statistic than the Bureau of Labor, let me know, because the numbers are really all over the place. You could go to a non-government website and they'll say that inflation was 10% last year.
Right.
Mhm.
So I used the government site thinking open, that was a more reliable
Yeah.
number. And we might be able to even get to even a more reliable government site other than the Bureau of Labor Statistics, but off the top of my head, when I was doing some quick research, this is what I felt was most reliable. But I don't
Okay.
have any way to substantiate that other than being a government website.
That'd be a good item to put the FAC guys on.
I got a sneaky suspicion they're on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they are.
They are.
Yeah. But then to also create that policy, like if we were gonna have a policy going forward, to utilize that,
Whatever
Create a
specific.
policy.
yeah.
whatever
Not
specific.
too much, I think we just need to use it as a guideline.
So not policy, but just
Oh.
some type of information going forward, so that, you know, year after year, as
You use the
members
same
change out, yeah, or utilize,
You're saying-
Right.
yeah,
You're saying for the
Perfect, right,
finance
thank you.
advisory committee.
finance advisory, or even the select board, that comes on, you know, just information, you know,
Yeah.
handed
And somebody
down.
may know a government website where the inflation rate is also listed and then it can, and is well trusted, and pick one to use as like, Ashley was saying, you know, we can have an annually, we're gonna go to the same source
Right,
and make sure that we get consistent numbers. Like I said, they're all over the place, you can go to, just go for a search, you'll see, you know,
Yeah.
the numbers are quite out, you know, anywhere from, you know, 7% to 20%, so it's a wide variety of numbers, a
Trying to
wide
think.
gap.
There's, you know, the overall goal here is to stabilize, standardize, and have an equitable playing field for everybody and all the employees, and then the community will know what to expect year after year as well. You know, so we're trying to, you know, give, you know, transparency to everybody, you know, throughout this process, so it's not so just based off of, you know, 3 minds. Like there's other things that are at play and in consideration.
Another number that could be used just as a guideline is when the government announces what the adjustment's going to be for social security.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so do you have anything else for us tonight?
No, I said it's good. The FAC's been good, and one of the most positive thing working with the committee is they're all stakeholders in town. You know, so they really
Yeah.
have a true commitment to the committee and to the town, and you know, I think their input's going to be very valuable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
I'm glad to hear it.
yeah, and you know, in talking with the individuals that I've met so far, you know, they actually seem like they're deeply involved, and they want to do the right thing for, again, the community, the departments. So we'll see, but it's been going pretty good. And like I said, I've been working with Joe Woodworth a lot, and he's been very, very good. So
Excellent,
he's a very detailed guy.
Yeah. it's good to hear.
Yeah.
Cool, well, thank you for coming in.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Good seeing you.
Good seeing you too.
Good night, chief.
Can I see that sheet that he handed out?
yeah. Do you want to make you a copy of that?
I just,
Okay.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Good night. Oh, got a few minutes here. Yeah, so I guess as a part of old and new business, if I could,
Sure.
something I haven't mentioned that I should have mentioned in for the past few weeks was that we're having our town autumn fest this Saturday. That'll be 11 to 4 down at the town fields. And then Remax is bringing their hot air balloon to have tethered hot air balloon rides down there. And that'll be going from 3:30 to 5:30. And
So
all
after
the
it
money
is-
raised from that is $15 per person per ride, and that all goes to the Children's Miracle Network for the Boston Children's Hospital. So the balloon people actually bring that balloon in and
That's
go
cool.
places, at no charge, and any money that they raise at the event, they send right down.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
There'll be all sorts of, touch a truck stuff, all the sorts of different games and activities down there. I know there's soccer in the morning, and so it'll be a fun day to be down at the park. Food, family, and fun.
15th?
Yeah, yep, the 15th. Jason, do you have anything that you wanted to hit quick as a part of old new business?
No? I do. After the,
No, go ahead. I'll save mine for last.
no, good.
Well, this
I
might
was-
be your last.
And
Yeah.
back to back. I was asked by the zoning board to ask you to appoint me as an alternate to the zoning board.
You can't
Can't,
do it. You can't be on the select board and the zoning board.
There's nothing that says you can't be.
Yeah, it's in the art. We've looked this up already.
yeah,
Cause there could be the potential where the zoning board has an opposing position to the select board
I
and
understand,
something. Yeah,
but this is as an alternate,
yeah,
okay, which means that one is if there's any conflict, I'm certainly going to recuse myself anyway.
mm-hmm,
But what's happening is that they're having, the zoning board is based on 5 people. And they're having a hard time getting 3 people together to have a quorum. And one of the people is going off on an extended vacation, and without having a full quorum, they can't even accept any applications.
so I'm 99% positive that you cannot sit on the zoning board, cause even if you're an alternate and then you need to sit as a voting member, that it's the same difference. You can call it an alternate or not, but at some point you're gonna need to be a voting member,
Okay,
and that's a quasi judicial. What's that?
I was thinking that way at first, but Dave Leach has always been on the ZBA.
I'm not
Maybe
remembering
it's
it the
clear
same
again.
way.
You are too?
I'm remembering it that way.
Yeah, I know Dave was
It
always.
seems like Jim brought that up to us.
No, I know, but then because Bert had asked the same thing.
let's put it this way, Debbie,
Yes.
would you mind giving Steve Buckley a call and getting
I
clarification
think
from
I
him?
have the answer to that, cause I've already asked the question.
You know, I think we're not gonna use it, cause we, created some printouts.
Because I went through, what can and can't be, and there really wasn't anything in there. It used to be that couldn't be on there, but, that got changed.
Okay.
I wouldn't have any.
Yeah, if it's changed, it's fine. It had been brought up, like I had said, before with Bert, and that the information that we had received was that
Okay.
it couldn't happen.
When is their next meeting?
First,
Thursday and.
week of next month.
So
like November
we
1st.
could wait till next week.
Oh, of course.
See what we have to do, yeah.
Okay.
And I would think that, Wendy and Dave would have known, because they're the 2 that were recommending that I do this, that I ask for this.
Excuse me. This is the most people we've ever had at the selectmen's meeting. So I do have 2
Nice to
things.
see you all here.
Yeah.
I know.
It's
We got Debbie.
most nights it's empty chairs out there, so.
We're talking to ourselves. So the website is now officially as a .gov, New Ipswich NH.gov. Still in the process of switching all the emails over, that it's gonna be like a concurrent thing for about a year, that everything's still gonna be .org and .gov.
Yeah.
So we're still working on all that, and I finally got in touch with someone about the fuel cards for the fire department. So apparently what happened was 2 people retired at the exact same time, and there was no one to do any of the, like the getting people the pins and like all that kind of stuff, and then they ran out of cards, and
Mhm.
now they have cards back in, and they have hired someone part-time. So this poor person's trying to go through a, stack of applications this high, so
Yeah,
eventually we'll get them.
okay,
So that was all I had.
cool. Alright,
Should add a sign-in sheet.
yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna pass around this. If everybody can sign in, please, so we can.
So I'll use one. So I'm gonna notebook.
Can you remember being a selectman and being on the zoning board?
I just was looking that up, and, it's RSA chapter, 669, incompatibility of offices.
Perfect, that's what I'm looking at.
669:7, which, as far as I'm reading it, doesn't have incompatibility between selectmen and ZBA. You cannot be selectman and at the same time treasurer, moderator, trustee of trust funds, collector of taxes, auditor, highway agent, head of town police department, and no full-time employee shall at the same time hold the office of selectman. But it doesn't say anything about ZBA.
I know there were a couple of boards, though they couldn't be on the planning and
You
zoning.
can't have the
or-
same two members on two boards.
Right.
Who gave us that information when Bert wanted to?
Yeah. I know, I feel like
I think that changed it was just 2 or 3 years ago.
Well, yeah, this just happened, last year.
You know, there, and there's no it used to be that there was a mention of ex officio, not having an ex officio on the zoning board. But that's part of that got removed.
Alright. You should wait the extra couple minutes, or are you waiting for anybody?
We are ready to proceed.
Okay. Alright, so thank you for coming in. Was it Mrs.?
You can call
Miss-
me Miss Clark.
Alright, Miss Clark. Thank you for coming in. I understand you have some questions regarding the driveway permit.
It's an enforcement matter related to the driveway permit and the parking lot that has been created
on the property of 99 River Road.
Okay. Is this above and beyond what's been, given over to the Monadnock Conservancy?
It concerns partially the matter relating to Monadnock Conservancy, yes.
Okay. So can you outline your concerns for us?
Sure, so I've got a series of documents I'd like to hand out first, if that's okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We share.
Okay, and the rest are photographs that I'm gonna circulate when I get to the portion
Okay.
of the discussion. Do you mind if I sit here?
Oh, that's fine.
Oh, please.
Oh, thank you so much. All right, so thank you for having us this evening. I think as everyone knows, I represent 13 individuals who are residents of Bank Village, abutters to 99 River Road, and other interested parties. And I'll just go through the list for purposes of the meeting record, if that's okay.
Sure.
Stan Zabrick and Luis Del Papa, tax map 11, lot 191. Richard C. and Sharon Smith, tax map 12, lot 92. Robert and Anne Marie Fournier, tax map 11, lot 189. Greg and Soyu Caltabiano, tax map 11, lot 192. Christopher Allen and Marilyn Stowe, tax map 11, lot 190. Christopher O'Leary, tax map 11, lot 193. Liz Freeman, tax map 12, lot 102. And my husband, Colin Carroll, tax map 12, lot 78. So, first things, we became aware of the driveway permit that was issued, before the last zoning board meeting that took place on October 6th. For a variety of reasons, we feel that this driveway permit was issued in error. First reason, is related to the Monadnock Conservancy conservation easement, so that's the first handout that I gave you there that's dated August 18th, 2022, and has the Monadnock Conservancy logo on the top. In short, the letter essentially communicates to Ms. Elwell, the owner of 99 River Road, that a portion of the parking lot that she created on her property, essentially the left side of the parking lot, so as you enter on the driveway, the entire portion of the left side of the parking lot is on, subject to a conservation easement. The driveway itself is on the conservation easement, Woods Road is on the conservation easement, and anything to the right of the driveway is not subject to the conservation easement. So this is detailed on the attached plan that's attached to the letter, so that came with the letter from Monadnock Conservancy. And I will also circulate another copy of the conservation easement that is filed with the Hillsborough County Registry of Deeds that has the sort of large zoomed out version as well as a zoomed in portion.
Thank you.
Did you want this thing here?
I don't. I think we have everything that we need on these handouts. So, flip to the zoomed in portion of the handout that I gave you. The driveway is shown on these dashed lines here, entering across the stone wall, and it continues on to Woods Road that goes well into the property. The letter that the Monadnock Conservancy issued in August communicated to Ms. Elwell that she was permitted to use the driveway that was subject to the conservation easement as long as she did not improve, widen the Woods Road or take down stone walls. And so their permission to her to use the driveway was conditioned on those two pieces. And I have that highlighted for you in the letter. In addition, Courier Road was designated in 2021 as a scenic road. RSA 231, section 158 says that, I'm sorry, just a second, let me find the correct page. So, section 472:6 applies to removing or altering boundary markers, including stone walls that are on scenic roads. Any person who purposely commits or causes to be committed any of the following acts with regard to a boundary marker, knowing it to be a boundary marker, shall be guilty of a misdemeanor, defacement, alteration of location, or removal of a stone wall or monument, or a mark on a tree made for the purpose of designated a point, course, or line in the boundary or a tract of land or in the dividing line between towns. Exceptions are included in item number 2, but none of those apply to this situation. Also must refer to the driveway regulations that were passed in town of New Ipswich in 2021. I'm sorry, my papers are not in order here. So Town of New Ipswich driveway regulations passed on March 3rd of 2021. These provide that the application for a driveway permit must be accompanied either by evidence that the driveway will not impact a wetland or wetlands buffer, or by a copy of a decision letter from the Zoning Board of Adjustment granting a variance to the New Ipswich Wetlands Ordinance. Evidence may consist of a reference to a subdivision plan or site plan showing the location of any wetlands on the site, or a determination from the Town Conservation Commission. My review of the permit application for the driveway did not include this information. Every effort shall be made to maintain the integrity of stone walls, reference to RSA 472:6, which is the one that I just read. Any portion of a stone wall which is part of a boundary marker and is removed by the creation of an access point shall be reconstructed when the access point is closed. Driveway shall be limited to one per residential lot, except where the selectman or their designee has determined that a second driveway is warranted and can be safely accommodated. On the subject property, there was a second existing driveway, which is the subject of this permit. That driveway was for many years for access to a fabric covered shed. Probably, I'm guessing, on the order of 5 years or so. The owner of 99 River Road bought that property in 2014, and to the best of my clients and my recollection, That road was created at some point after 2014, but has been in use for some period of time. It is not, according to the driveway regulations, proper for a permit to be issued when there is not a secondary use. In this case, the proposed secondary use would be for a business for which the zoning board has not issued a variance. Work was done on the parking lot and on the driveway primarily during the month of September, although there was work done starting back in mid-July and continuing up till somewhat recently ago. So this photograph that I'll pass around was taken on July 24th. It is prior to the stone wall being removed, prior to the driveway permit being issued, and prior to a number of efforts that were done to essentially clear and expand the parking lot. So the parking lot, as you can see, was in existence on July 24th, but there was significant work done after that date to expand it considerably. This is a photograph taken on September 22nd of the stone wall that was removed after the permit was issued.
I wanna put them side by side.
Here,
You can see in the second photograph the bruising on the ground where the stones were removed.
Are those pictures taken of the conservancy side of the, of that, or on the 3.031 acres?
Yes, so according to the letter that Monadnock Conservancy sent to Ms. Elwell, the conservancy land includes the driveway and the portion to the left. So those pictures are of the driveway and to the land of the left, to the left of the driveway.
Okay.
well, if you can just help me.
So the land to the right of the driveway,
Is not subject to the conservation easement.
even though the stone wall there is a stone wall over on that side.
So to the extent that there shows a stone wall that runs perpendicular to Courier Road, that stone wall is no longer there.
Are you referring to the stone wall is no longer there?
That is correct.
Which one, Lou?
As you're entering in from Courier Road,
Can you lift your paper, like so you can,
the darker portion of the stone wall, this part here, is claimed not existing any longer.
okay.
So this one?
No, we go into this one?
No, I was trying to see it on the blown up one.
It comes perpendicular, so the one he's referring to comes out from Courier Road.
And forgive me, Ms. Clark, but I don't understand the significance of these two photos. I really have no point of reference
So
for
the
'em.
purpose of the photos is just to demonstrate to you that the stone wall was taken down. So in the permit application.
I just can't identify it as the same area, and because the pictures have two different perspectives taken of it, and I'm assuming that this tree is that tree.
It is.
Okay.
We have some better photographs if you need.
So Debbie, Lou was referring to the stone wall on this
Yeah.
plan. This plan dates quite a ways back.
Oh, okay.
And so there's a stone wall on this one showing coming from here going in this direction.
Okay,
And that stone wall, to my knowledge, is not there anymore.
okay.
So I'll continue if it's okay.
I'm just still trying to understand where that is, like what those pictures, like where is that on this?
Yep, so it is directly to the left of the driveway. So the driveway is here.
Yeah.
And the portion of the stone that was taken out is right here.
Okay,
And the permit corroborates that, the permit application that she submitted.
okay.
So where is the property line difference between the Conservancy and the other one? Because
So-
I'm seeing the marking a drill hole all the way over here.
Yes. So in my conversations with Monadnock Conservancy, I've talked to them on a number of occasions. They explained to me that because some of the stone walls have been removed over time for reasons they don't know, that the markers that were there originally when the conservation easement was signed in the year 2000 by Patty Hoffman when she lived at the residence, that there are some gray areas about where the conservation easement is and is not. But as he explained it to me, and I think it is also explained in the Conservancy letter, when you enter the property on the driveway, to the left is the conservation easement property, and to the right is not. Woods Road, as is discussed in the letter, which is a continuation of the driveway, is also subject to the conservation easement.
So
All of
the-
this is in the letter,
this-
I'm not,
So this part over here is a defining portion of the Conservancy property here, correct?
so this portion is not conservation land.
Correct.
This is conservation because it has these hash marks
So
on it.
that conservation portion comes out through this part here, correct?
It comes into this area here.
Okay. And if you look at the deed, is this drill hole marked as a part of the marker for the property line on either the Conservancy part or on that part?
So the deed itself covers the entirety of the parcel, so the entirety of this upper portion here. There's not a delineation in the deed between the conservation easement property and what is not on conservation land. You would have to look at the conservation easement agreement that was executed in the year 2000 for that information.
Okay, and so do you have a copy of that?
I do not have a copy of it with me. It was submitted to the zoning board and it's something that I could get to you.
Okay, or
I almost printed it. I have it.
you have it?
Yeah.
Is it the deed you're looking for?
Yeah. The conservation deed.
Or the
Conservation
Conservation agreement?
Thanks.
Thanks, Sil.
So, if I can continue, there was a site visit the zoning board conducted on August 25th. A number of my clients attended. My understanding is that Peter Goway, the Public Works Director, was also there. And there was an extensive conversation about the Monadnock Conservancy letter at that meeting. Its date predates the August 25th site visit. And it was discussed at length about what was permitted to be done to the parking lot and the driveway and what was not. Peter Goway would have been made aware at that meeting about the Monadnock Conservancy letter and would have known about the restrictions.
No,
He wasn't there.
Peter wasn't there, it was
wasn't there.
the building inspector that was there.
Okay, well, that's my misunderstanding. So we can ignore that. I apologize. I thought my clients told me that Peter Goway was there.
Okay.
So the other point to make is that Ms. Ella, when she submitted her permit application, would have been well aware of the Monadnock Conservancy letter and the restrictions that she could not dismantle the stone wall in order to continue using the driveway for purposes of the parking lot. So it is my position that her permit application was disingenuous and misleading to the town.
Okay, question, what was disassembled by them,
So,
supposedly?
yeah, so if we go to the permit
'Cause
application,
You said you didn't know when this wall was taken down.
no, I don't know anything about that wall.
Okay.
This is the permit application that Ms. Ella submitted to the town.
Okay.
And on this ink drawing that she assembled, you can see here that she is requesting to disassemble 6 feet of stone wall to the left of the driveway, which is subject to the conservation easement.
I don't see a stone wall drawn here, so where would that have come from? Or are you talking about along Courier Road?
That is correct.
Okay, and, do you have an image of that?
I do. It was right there.
It is,
These two pictures of,
okay. And I have to agree with Sean in that the perspective doesn't do anything for me.
Okay, well, we do have other photographs that we can, supply to you that perhaps would give you some additional perspective.
I would like that. I would also like, to do a site visit myself to, you know, get a picture of what's going on. I apologize for not doing it earlier, but I wasn't aware of these photos. I know they came up in a meeting and I had attended both of the zoning board meetings. But again, without all this information in one package, it didn't mean much to me. Did you get to see this?
Yeah, it looked good.
now, have you made a report to the Monadnock Conservancy
Several.
of these things?
Yes.
Yeah,
Monadnock Conservancy and I are in regular contact, as is Patty Hoffman, who is the individual that executed the conservation easement agreement. She also feels very strongly about the fact that her land was subject to a conservation easement. It was intended to be preserved. She is quite frankly outraged about the fact that a parking lot was constructed on
Well,
a
if we-
conservation easement.
she's not here and I don't have anything from her, you know, signed, so if you could please, you know,
Sure.
just stick to note what we can read and, alright, I appreciate that.
Yep, sure.
So you have, you know, reached out to them, cause I felt that I had heard that there may be some outreach to the Monadnock Conservancy, and I've been kinda waiting to hear what their opinion is on this whole thing.
Well, I think you have their opinion on what their opinion is on this whole thing. They've been very clear that the letter dated August 18th that was issued to Ms. Elwell is the sole communication that is the authority on the subject.
Okay. But going back to your statement of, you know, that Ms. Hoffman was upset with a parking lot being built on the conservancy part of the property, this doesn't show that.
No, that plan that you're looking at right there was part of the original plan when the conservancy was executed in 2000, which is why there's stone walls on there that don't now exist.
Okay.
Jason, do you have any questions?
Soaking it all in.
Yeah,
Right. So if there is a desire for a site visit, I would be happy to have you continue this conversation and we can bring additional photographs back, and, you know, demonstrate, the area that's been disturbed and, you know, continue to discuss, you know, the relief that we're seeking.
so what are you looking to have done?
Yeah, so I think we're asking for 4 things. Number 1, that the driveway permit is rescinded. Number 2, that the Board of Selectmen orders Ms. Ella to restore the stone wall to its previous state. Number 3, that they issue that you all issue a penalty pursuant to RSA 472:6. And number 4, that you issue a stop work order for all driveway and parking lot work,
Thank you.
including to any additional driveways until a variance is issued and the planning board completes site plan review.
Excuse me, can, you said RSA 472 what?
:6.
And the next part of it?
So number 3 was issue a penalty pursuant, I'm sorry, I think you have that one. Did you get number 2? Require that the stone wall be restored to its previous condition.
Okay, now,
And-
if this,
So there were 4 things. Did you
Well-
get the 4?
let's go into the fourth one.
And the 4th item is issue a stop work order for all driveways and parking lots until a variance is issued from the zoning board and the planning board completes site plan review.
Okay, so, and I don't mean to be argumentative, I'm just trying to get some clarification.
Sure.
If this stone wall is actually part of that property, and the driveway delineates, the difference between Conservancy and the, and that property, what's to prevent somebody from opening up that stone wall or doing it, because there really isn't any, as far as I see here, any markers here delineating that that's part of the property line. Since the property line is already from what I'm hearing, the property line is really where that entrance and that wall is, that dirt road.
So I think the Monadnock Conservancy letter clearly lays out that the driveway and the Woods Road are part and subject to the conservation easement.
Okay, the driveway and what you call, so this is the driveway, correct?
And then it continues to Woods Road.
And that continues to, okay, so that's part of the easement, so
Yes.
what does that have to do with putting this wall back in place?
So this is not the wall that we're discussing today. The wall that we're discussing today is the one that's along Courier Road to the left of the driveway.
Okay, I guess I didn't understand that the first time.
So again, I will point you to the permit application and her request to remove the stone wall to the left of the driveway along Courier Road.
So you're talking about removing 4 foot of the stone wall?
6 feet. So she says that the existing opening is 14
Oh, I'm
and
sorry,
she's
I read that
requesting an
as
opening of 20.
Okay, I read that as 60 back wall,
Up to 20.
up to 20.
And I ended up taking out 4 feet.
Please, Ray. Let's-
Okay, and, did anybody go back to Monadnock Conservancy and try to define with them how they felt about this?
So after that letter was issued and the stone wall was removed and Woods Road was widened directly in opposition to what this letter instructs Ms. Elwell, I and Patty Hoffman initiated a second complaint to them, and they visited the property on August the 4th. They will be taking that information back to their board of directors, who will determine whether or not there is a penalty to be assessed against Ms. Elwell.
Ms.
Did you
Clark,
get
if you could, like, did you mean October 4th?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask that.
October 4th is when
Okay.
they were there, yes.
Because you had said August, just to
Sorry.
let you, yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
October 4th was
Yeah.
when they were there.
So that argument's actually between the Conservancy and Ms. Elwell, right?
The issue of whether the Conservancy will issue her a penalty for being in violation of the conservation easement is between Monadnock Conservancy and Ms. Elwell. That does not have to do with the permit that the town issued to her.
So what we need to look at is whether or not the permit should have been issued, like, and if it was issued against other guidance or other rules.
I understand that, but Conservancy, we don't know what the Conservancy is going to say about it.
They have guidelines, and part of, you know, what Ms. Clark is stating is that we issued the permit when we shouldn't have issued the permit, because it's outside the scope of what the guidelines for the Conservancy's guidelines are. Did I get that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and the town ordinances as well,
Yeah,
the driveway ordinance and
Well, I was focusing on that one aspect. Yeah. So we do have, consideration to make here.
I want to hear both sides of the story before we make.
No, no, that's fine. I just was making sure that you're clear before we go.
Yeah, I'm clear on that now.
Okay.
I'm curious when this conservation easement was surveyed. It sounded to me in your comments that this has kind of become a gray area, and if we're talking 4 feet, that sounds like it
so I think
shouldn't
you're,
be a gray
I
area.
think you're again pointing to the wrong stone
Yeah,
wall.
it's right here, Jason. So this is the road that comes in, and
Understood.
yeah, so now it's from this point over.
Right,
Not
Where-
anything to do with this.
but where is the easement?
So I would point you to the Monadnock Conservancy letter that lays out that the driveway and everything to the left of that is subject to the conservation easement.
And so that's here.
Yes,
So had they gone this way, it would be different.
it would be different. We would not be talking about the conservation easement, correct?
Well, that sounds like an easy fix. Nancy, what about the two other issues?
So yeah, if you could. Do you want to go forward with?
I mean, I think I explained the reasoning as to why the permit should not have been issued pursuant to the driveway regulations.
Yeah.
And I also explained the state regulations as to why it's improper for a stone wall to be dismantled on a road designated as a scenic road.
No, I can agree with that. Like I want to go out and take a look at the area, for myself. And I believe, Lou had, made that same statement, and I feel Jason, it may help him to gain a better understanding of, what's going on out there.
Right?
Yes, Liz?
Sean, I just have a curiosity question. Because the driveway regulations were adopted just a little over a year ago, and they're far more comprehensive regulations than, we didn't have driveway regulations that governed anything that wasn't in a subdivision. We now have driveway regulations that govern the whole town.
Can you
Okay.
email
And I'm
them to me?
Yes, I
curious
can.
whether
My
the
address is-
application for driveway permit includes things like a question, is this a second driveway on the property? Anything that would alert your designee to that issue.
Yeah, so it's a good point that application process needs to be
And I
revised.
have
Yeah,
as
I
well.
think so. You know,
Yeah, I have
Debbie,
other photos as
Debbie
well.
was quite invested in that,
In the driveway.
in the
regs.
driveway regulations.
A little bit.
So she could be helpful in that respect.
If you could,
Mhm.
Lou, like just so you can keep it like for the whole group, what you're requesting, and
So he
if
was
we
asking
can
me,
just keep from the side conversations, because some aspect of what Liz had just been speaking to was fairly important, where it's a potential gap in our system right now, and that this could have that could have helped big. So I appreciate that, Liz.
Okay,
and Lou was asking me to send the photographs that I have, these that I presented this evening, and the others that I have in my possession to Debbie so that you all can have access to them.
Okay.
and that's administrator at.
Yes, she and I have been in
Yeah.
touch.
Couple times. Sue did hook that up for you though, if you needed it.
Anything else I can tell you?
No, not for me. And then, just one second. You had stated there's 2 other issues. Was there something else besides the permit application fix?
The scenic road,
Okay, good, well, yeah,
which the planning board, I think, has to give permission.
yeah.
And the planning board would have to be the ones that waived anything different from the driveway regulations.
Thank you, Ms. Clark.
Thank you.
Oh, I know.
So, against better judgment, I will give Miss Elwell and Mr. Holmes and Attorney Fasanella, an opportunity, 5 minutes. We're not going to get into a big, questions and answers. You heard what Ms. Clark had stated. So if you have anything
Yeah.
that can help a little bit,
Sure.
but keep it concise.
Yes,
We're going
I
to be
will.
taking a look at everything on our own and revisiting this probably in a couple weeks.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to state that the Conservancy, Monadnock Conservancy letter that you've been presented includes a site plan. The
Yep.
site plan shows the location of the parking lot that they placed on the land that is not restricted. You can see the parking lot is on land that is not restricted by a conservation easement.
So that's what that dark area is.
That gray area, the border of the conservation restriction on land that is owned by Miss Elwell, and it's been referred to many times tonight as land of the conservation easement or the the Monadnock Conservancy. This is land that's owned by Miss Elwell. There's a restriction placed on the deed by Miss Hoffman, but the land belongs to Miss Elwell, okay? Now, the land clearly is divided into 2 sections. This plan was prepared by the Monadnock Conservancy, showing the existing openings, which are the large round circles. Those are 2 openings that are in the wall, the stone wall, that divides, which is to the left of the parking lot that they drew, which divides the land that is restricted from the land that is has a conservation easement on it. Also, you can see the opening on the wall in Couriers. Now, one thing that I would like to add that adds considerable weight to the availability to change and modify the driveway or to provide legal basis for the driveway and the parking lot is this parking lot has been in existence for decades. We have a aerial photograph that is dated 1952 showing this area, the parking lot, which is much larger in 1952, and the openings across Courier date back decades as well. That was discussed by Alex Metzger, who drafted this letter. He realizes that the easement and the openings date back decades to and we've recently found that it dates back to 1952. That means that there are a lot of regulations that have been cited tonight, namely the scenic road, the planning board, the selectmen's jurisdiction. None of those would apply, given that these are pre-existing parking lots and openings that have existed for 70 years. Since they've existed that long, none of the boards that were specified would have jurisdiction over this matter. The only board that would have any kind of control would be the Monadnock Conservancy, and whether they are bothered by any alterations in either the stone wall opening or the use of the Woods Road. As Ms. Clark indicated, following the issuance of this letter and following the issuance of the permit by the town DPW director, it was made aware to the Monadnock Conservancy about the alteration of the opening in the wall. And Alex Messenger came out and looked at it and looked at the property, and he had no problems
Well,
with the opening.
again,
And he
I
will.
don't have anything. Yeah,
It's
I'd
better
look
to have
to a
him
report. Yeah, either to have him speak or to get some type of letter from the Monadnock
And we'll be glad to
Conservancy.
do that
Is
for
that
speak. Yeah, we'll
is
be-
what we'll be looking for.
Yeah, we'll be glad to have him make that in writing, because it's been requested by the zoning board of appeals as well. I'd like to provide you with just a few photographs that might help clarify the parking lot and the entryway. And I only have 4 copies of this, so I apologize for not having a copy for the abutters. But if you look at the first photograph, this is the driveway permit. The photograph shows the arrow pointing to the rock, the boulder, that was moved after the permit was issued. That rock and one other rock in front of it were moved. It opened the driveway by 4 feet. The existing driveway opening was 14 feet, actually I think it was 16 feet, and the permit allowed to open it by up to 20 feet. Beyond, you can see the driveway going in off the road. The second photograph shows a view of the parking lot and an existing walkway that will serve to allow pedestrians to walk out of the parking lot up to the back of Miss Elwell's house. You can see it from 2 different perspectives on the second photograph, the parking lot and the existing walkway. And then the third photograph shows it's a combination of 2 photographs, but it shows the entire parking lot area with a proposed removal of trees on the western side of the parking lot to make it a wider area. You can actually see in this photograph the wetlands. The wetlands have been delineated by Meridian Engineering. The parking lot is more than 50 feet from the wetlands. The comment about a wetlands, whether a wetlands permit is needed with regard to the opening off of Courier, that opening off of Courier would be over 120 feet from the wetlands. If you look at this site plan, you can see the wetlands, and you can see a 25, yeah, you can see the wetlands on the east side of the site plan. You can see a 25-foot buffer zone followed by another 25-foot to make it 50 feet from the wetlands to the edge of the parking lot. You can also see that it's 70 feet at the southern end of the parking lot and 115 feet away from the wetlands, added to the 50-foot buffer. So this gives you a perspective of the location of the parking lot, the entry off of Courier. You see the opening, which is 16 feet, and the 2 existing holes in the stone wall that separate the parking lot from the conservation use. We would welcome you to come out to take a look at it for yourself. These photographs, I think, are pretty good indications of what you'll see. There is no significant modification proposed to the parking lot. As I said, the parking lot has been there since 1952. and we're not proposing to do any significant modifications other than what I've explained to you tonight.
Okay. Ray, did you have something to add?
Yeah, Jane wanted to show you a picture.
I'll show you this. It's just.
You wanna see the picture from 1952?
No, just the.
not that.
This is just two photos of exactly the same spot. You can see. So this is the driveway that everyone's making a fuss about. The one off of Courier. This is looking from Courier up. This is before the boulder was moved. That's one boulder, and there was one underneath it. So there's 2 rocks were moved. That's before. That's after.
And then if you can help me here,
Right.
part like
This
this is taken from the perspective
Courier.
of your.
That's Courier Road.
This is you're looking from Courier Road,
Yeah,
just standing on
okay.
Courier Road, looking up the woods road. And so that's the boulder that we took out, and we took when I talk to the Monadnock Conservancy all the time. They come out every year, and when we walked it last time, I said to them that that rock is a pain in the neck because as you come around, it's really low down and you catch a bumper on it. And we talked about which side would be easier to take out. And he said that that one would be easier to take out because this is a double wall. It's one of those double walls filled with rocks on this side.
Yeah.
And it's a very special wall. And I didn't want to touch it. And he agreed. We agreed that that one would stay and that rock would come out. And so I sent him these photos. This is to Alex. This is to the Alex at the Monadnock Conservancy.
Yeah.
Here.
No, that I'm not
All
gonna.
right.
Yeah.
And he said, and I said, these are the ones that I did, the before and after. And he said, oh yeah, that was what I had the recollection of, and that was what we talked about. And he's
Okay.
fine with it. You can
Well,
ask
we need to.
him.
Well, no, we need. I'd imagine that the conservancy is going to be issuing some type of,
What?
response to the complaints.
Oh, he's already been. I've already talked to him about it, and
Well,
he's.
no, that's fine. I can't. I'm not going to take third.
Oh no, I know.
And not that I don't trust what you're saying,
I know.
just as much as I don't, like
I
I
know.
trust Miss Clark
He's
as
already
well.
been
But
to see Patricia Hoffman too, and talked to her about it, and he's explained exactly where the parking lot's going to be and what I've done, and he says I work very well with them, and I do. I don't do anything without telling them what I'm doing.
well, I'm issuing some type of
Right.
Official
Okay.
statement
I'll ask him.
would
I'll
greatly
email
help.
him tomorrow.
So many of these
And ask
issues.
him. But it wasn't this huge piece of stone wall that they're referring to. It was a rock with
Okay.
a rock underneath, and you can see it. It's sitting right on the other side.
I can
I just
understand
wanna
that.
conclude, Sean, by saying, we'd ask that you do not implement the 4 requests, rescinding the driveway permit, restoring the wall, or issuing any penalties, and stopping any work on the driveway and parking lot. This driveway and parking lot, as I said, has been there for 70
Mhm.
years. Jane Elwell has the right to use that parking lot, and she other than in the use of her business. It has been used in the past for storing wood and lumber, and it was simply cleaned up in July and August to make it more presentable after her ex-husband left. He took a trailer, he took wood that he had milled from logs on the property, and so it was cleaned up a little bit. That's all that happened in July and August.
We haven't taken down a
Okay.
single tree, not one.
Thank
And
you.
it doesn't matter, it's
No,
your property.
Ray,
You take it
Ray.
down.
Thank you very much
Yeah,
for your
yeah.
an opportunity to speak.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. All right. So at this point, I think we need a little bit of time to digest everything. We haven't really been invested as a board in this, situation. We've kind of got an overview and have heard the 2 sides from the outside. But now that you're directly before us, I can encourage my fellow board members to go out and take a look at the site. We're not gonna coordinate a trip out together. I don't see there any need for that, and then we can come back and discuss it like this matter. Was it the 25th of October, 2 weeks?
Yeah, and all we have before us is a driveway permit application.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be nice that if we could have our code enforcement officer at that meeting,
And Peter
And Peter.
Peter.
at the 25th.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I would prefer that all three of us go along.
yeah, I'd go, I've driven by once, so I'll go again now that I have.
Now that
More
we've got a better
information.
picture of it.
Alright, yeah, well, if that's the case, then we'll publicly notice it. So,
Just one other
Liz?
item you might add to the checklist for the driveway application is whether a plan of the wetlands has been submitted with the application.
okay,
A plan of the wetlands has been
No, no,
submitted to the zone.
it was just in general for the application going forward, so that we have that, like in a checklist, like for when the driveway permits are issued, that application would have that on it, that requirement. We're looking like overall to try to fill all the gaps that are around, and this one's exposed a few, so, yeah,
Fill the gaps too much and
No,
no one's gonna be able to
no.
do anything.
thank you, Ray. So with that, you know, was this time good?
Yes, yes, as I indicated to Debbie, when you all start at 5 o'clock, that is very difficult for me, given where I work.
Yeah,
And so, you know, approximately 6:30 is a good time for me to be able to be here.
okay. So you get notified officially, but for right now, we'll just put it down for 6:30 on the
I'll send you
25th.
guys all the agenda.
Yeah, a week ahead. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all for coming in. Bob. Let's see.
Did you put emails
How are you?
today
Good, thank you.
with the links to the zoning board stuff?
No, I had trouble with my email today, so.
Yeah, so did I, but me too, I didn't get any new emails with, at all.
Yeah, it was really weird today.
Okay,
That was weird.
that might have something.
Something
I
about-
hate Outlook.
Something about Outlook not being updated since 2013 or some crazy thing.
This
I
thing,
didn't
this
get
thing.
that one, I just
So-
got that it wasn't downloading any new emails.
So, it wasn't an email that said that. I'm just telling you that's what it was.
No, what I'm saying, normally there's one email or more that comes through.
Right. Right.
There's nothing that's come over, I haven't had any emails from the town since October 6th.
Mine was the 7th. So, Greg had to go into each one of our computers individually and do some kind of patch thing. So, I don't know if there was some kind of update.
Oh.
What?
I'm like, why do I have 2 and 3 copies? Because you make copies of stuff too.
Yeah,
I'm
we
not
had
trying to
some
sift out
from our
what I
administrator.
got from who and.
Oh, yeah.
It's a packet.
Try being in 5 hours of that.
Ugh. Yeah. Yep. Are we, taking a 10-minute fresh air break?
Sure.
Well, Ron is still recording, so
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll have any other business, if we should let him go first, or.
Yeah, 'cause do we have anything? We're all done with our old new business.
Yeah, I didn't have anything else.
Do you
Yeah.
want to, make a decision now since everybody read what, thing about the alternate on the, zoning board, or, well, we can hold off on that, cause I've got.
Well, it sounds to me like there's gonna be some critical zoning board meetings coming up that will not be well to delay another month, from what I'm hearing.
Another month of what?
Well, they only
If they
meet
don't
once
have a
month.
quorum at the next
Right.
meeting,
Yeah,
It's
the next
pushed on.
meeting's not till the beginning of November.
Right,
Yeah.
in any case,
so we have 1 or 2 meetings
Yeah,
to
so
go
I
before.
still, cause I was presented
That the
like
Board of
6
Selectmen has to be
documents that
enforcement
said that
for
it
the-
couldn't happen, or shouldn't
But
have
that,
happened in
what
the
Ashley
past.
read sounded
Sorry,
pretty
I just don't
definitive.
like-
Well, that's one section, and
We
I
could
didn't,
just
I didn't
wait.
read it, like, I just want to be sure.
Wait till next Tuesday.
Cause I looked at it as a correction to something that shouldn't have occurred before, and then in order to go backwards again, you know, like before we like flip flop,
but
just
see,
because somebody
this
said
is the
something.
thing, because
yeah.
somebody said something, so if
Right.
that, I think if Debbie does what you requested.
Yeah.
and
So we'll
talk
take a
to
look at it,
NHMA,
and it's not that, I don't wanna hold it
No,
up, it's
no,
just,
that's fine,
yeah,
you know, like I said, we have through the end of the month,
yeah,
but it's, you know, I'm just trying to help them out so that they can ensure that they've got a quorum.
Mhm.
yeah.
And that would be something, a very important question to ask, is if you'd be, is it called ex officio?
Well,
No.
yeah, we'll get all those designations.
That's what I mean,
Yeah.
from
So
our
10,
free legal
19.
advice, if he can vote at them, or,
Yeah, well, the
Can
only,
they have a
the only
quorum?
point to be an alternate is so that you can become a voting member if
Right.
needed. So that's where the,
wonder, the wonder and amazement comes in.
But I could also abstain on the votes too.
Yeah, but what's the point of being
That's-
an alternate if you're gonna abstain?
Abstain. Well,
Yeah.
then it goes
There's no
into
point.
whatever the.
Well,
argument
abstaining is
yeah.
voting affirmative, is what you guys told me.
What's that?
Yeah.
You guys told me
abstaining is-
abstaining is voting affirmative.
It's
No,
voting with
with
the
the-
majority.
with the
Oh, with the
majority.
majority,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a vote that really didn't count anyway.
right.
so,
Okay.
something that also occurred at the last ZBA meeting, I kinda wanted to let the room clear so we didn't get into too much. Was, our video committee was asked to stop recording the meeting.
By the zoning board?
Yeah, the zoning board chair. So,
And I have some insight on that
well,
when
that's,
we're done.
yeah, well, not, I don't wanna get too much into a conversation right now, I just wanted to kinda, you know, put it out there.
Mhm.
I haven't had a chance to speak, with, Wendy yet, like I reached out to her, just didn't connect over the weekend. But the cable advisory board has issued a formal complaint in regards to that. And I just wanna make it clear that there should be no expectation of any privacy in this room specifically, or in the other areas of the town office. If you come to the town office, there's a chance that you're either being videoed or recorded. It's a public building, and any meetings can be and should be recorded when possible. So that's,
And I-
91822.
I
Yeah.
discussed that with Wendy specifically, because we've had this, this conversation before about, you know, it's a public building, et cetera, et cetera.
yeah,
What surprised her was that most of the times, or all the other previous times, the zoning board meeting was not being recorded. She was totally unaware that the first one that involved, this particular subject had been recorded. She didn't hear about it until I told her that it was already posted up on YouTube, and she just said that nobody ever told her that the meeting was going to be recorded. And the second one, which is the one that recently happened, that she asked for it to be stopped, was because nobody told her it was going to be recorded either. So she had absolutely no knowledge that that it was going to happen, which is why she asked.
just so that you know, anybody in the room can record audio,
Yeah.
they can record video, they can record audio and video. So, and that does not exclude the room that has microphones and cameras in it, you know, and so I understand partially where she's coming from, but at the same time, there was notification made last year when all of these like changes were being made, and the cable advisory people were organizing and hoping to record more meetings in this room. I went around to a lot of the boards and committees, and I remember specifically being with the ZBA and speaking to them about alternates and the recording aspect. that would be going forward, but that's fine, it was over a year ago, but just to be clear, that there should be no expectation that anything that happens in this room won't be recorded. You know, cause if a person's available to record it and post it, that's great, and especially for high value meetings.
Agreed.
Cause a lot of the other meetings don't carry so much weight with our community members. Those meetings do, and there's more people that are interested that would like to, have the availability of the recording or to watch it live, like while it's going on, so.
Right.
Yeah, and Wendy's, when I explained that to Wendy, she had said, in that case, all meetings should be recorded.
Right.
If all meetings are being recorded, she has no problem with that. But if you've got some meetings being recorded and some not, then there should be a notice given to the members of the committee, that their particular meeting was going to be recorded.
Well, so the notice is, all meetings have the potential to be recorded. That's it,
All right, you can tell her that.
yeah.
Cause we don't know, sometimes, someone can't be here to record it. Sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. I mean,
Sure
we've had
seems to me
selectmen's
like
meeting that haven't been
It would be
recorded.
nice for them
Call it
Yeah.
common
to
courtesy.
know, especially in the
The
transitional,
common courtesy is,
the transitional period here
Mhm.
of this becoming a more active committee, the video committee. It seems like it would be nice because a lot of people would not come to a meeting wearing a hat if they knew it was being recorded, and just for that.
You did.
I said a lot of people. But just for that reason, out of,
Yeah.
just offering a little bit of,
Well, that's it,
Heads
and
up.
now there'll
Yeah.
be, signs, cause everybody needs signs to know that anything
okay.
can be recorded. Right, and who knows if Ron's gonna be available or not, or
Right.
Becky is
Here he
available
is.
not to come in to a
He
meeting.
might be here telling us that's it.
should we add that to that sign? Anything, any meeting, any public meeting or public
Becky and Ron are
hearing
working
is-
on some notifications,
Just
so if you
know.
want, they're gonna,
I'd
be
make
looking to make presenting that.
I'd make a suggestion.
But they did also ask to let, formally,
Yeah.
I don't recall if an email ever went out to all the department heads or not, but, we should probably make that, a
From
statement.
them,
Video committee,
No, from
video
the
committee
select
doesn't have
board.
the manpower to
Yeah.
support all the meetings.
No,
And it can't be. Not at this time, but we could call it the 1984 room.
the George Orwell room,
The George Orwell room.
the Big Brother room.
That's right.
Big brother, yeah, put a sign
Right, Ron?
on the door, Big Brother's watching you.
Yeah.
this isn't Big Brother, it's just the community
No.
members overseeing what,
I know.
their officials are doing.
I mean, I was.
So it's in reverse, actually,
Kind of.
yeah. It's the people watching us instead of us watching the people.
The problem
It's
is,
kinda-
is
And look how
We're the-
uncomfortable it is.
We're the
I know,
hamsters, we're
it's-
the hamsters in the cage.
Yeah,
but the problem is I think it contributes to empty seats as well. But that's just the price you pay.
Well, and I mean, if you feel strongly enough, I mean, all those people did to
They
come
did.
down here and
they-
say
and
something.
we've had people
Absolutely.
come.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So,
No, we have.
if people wanna be here, they're gonna be here, if they have something to say about something.
But I remember the old days
But-
when there was a man on the
oh,
street.
Ron, did you have anything that you wanted to contribute?
No, just listen.
Okay,
There was a guy who came in and the selectman Lawrence would say, "What does the man on the street have to tell us?"
Right?
Yeah,
And
he said
would
that to
give
me.
his-
Yep.
But this
Yeah.
was Dave Kotzen used to come faithful
Yeah.
to every single
Wow.
meeting. And
yeah,
he was the fourth selectman if there ever was one.
mhm,
But he took his role serious too, because he would give a report.
yeah,
Thank
Yeah.
you, Sue.
yep, that was great.
Yeah.
Be nice if we had another, man on the street
Yeah.
come in. Yeah, so that's that. Yeah, so with that,
I got one more thing to bring up,
okay,
okay?
I'm next.
Um,
I was first.
Should we entertain a warrant article asking the town if they want 24/7 coverage by the police department?
Well, that wouldn't come from us necessarily. If the police department's looking to make that move, you know, that could potentially be, you know, a way that that's conducted. The trouble with putting it to a warrant article is that once they say no, it's just,
It's like trying to get a new building.
yeah,
It,
Yeah.
it
No
becomes
mean,
a
it
battle
doesn't
of
no
will.
mean, the no means no
I think before any of,
until the next election.
Election.
yeah, yeah.
but I think before any consideration would be given to that, we should take a look at them stats that you were asking for,
Mhm.
because that's really the driver.
The driving factor.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
That,
stats.
and part of the reason I brought that up was because, and I didn't bring it up while he was here, cause there were other people, even though everybody can probably pick it up now that it's on there.
Yeah, it's on.
Is, right, is that, the town's getting pushback from the other police departments that do fill in during the empty times.
I spoke with the chief about that today,
Yeah.
and he said there has been some comments, but he said all the relationships with mutual aid are very
They're
good.
okay.
They're all good.
But yeah, but there's,
Yeah.
you know, one of our neighbors has, he shut it down, pulled his guys back when there wasn't anybody here at one point.
Yeah, and I'm sure mutual aid has that give and take,
Yeah, they do.
and so
And if he had something in his town he had to cover,
yeah.
he would have to pull him back.
But again, that would come from
Yeah.
a recommendation from the police department,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and they would have to be ready to,
Yeah.
you know, make that proposal. Alright,
But on the PD note, I did wanna just give a heads up, that, Debbie, you received that, quote from Monadnock Security. Were you part of that email?
Or,
Upgrading the security system over there,
no,
so that's just
I wasn't in on
coming
that.
up, I gotta follow up. Do a little more legwork for you guys, so I don't come in with a bunch of vague, but there's a need for an upgrade up there.
You might as well make it coincident with the renovation,
Possibly,
because you're expanding the area anyway.
yeah, we'll have to
And
see.
that's gonna mean more motion detectors and everything.
Yeah, and that is a driving force behind it. The current system they have is maxed out for cameras.
Mhm.
It can't take not even one more camera. So he's looking to upgrade that anyways. The question of where it falls, is that a part of his normal, you know, like we upgrade computers here, or is that a part of a renovation project?
yeah,
And so there's ongoing discussion. I gotta just iron out a few things with Monadnock on their quote,
yeah,
and the chief and I talked. We think it can be doable, but coming at you.
okay. Thank you. Debbie, did you really have something too?
No, I was just joking.
Alright. Alright.
I've said enough.
So with that, I'd like to make a motion to enter into non-public session under RSA 91A32 C regarding tax agreements and deeding.